Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Then check out Deal to Heal Teas. With our inspirational teas, you're sure to find something to inspire you. That's dealtohealteas.com. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.com. Again, that's dealtohealteas.com. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you'll enjoy the Girl Dad Discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe the relationship between a daughter and her father is one of the most important relationships a young lady can have. And therefore, my mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by sharing the voices of girl dads to the world. So check out our podcast on every platform where podcasts can be listened to. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel. Again, that's the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with your host, Ernest James. Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Ernest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to listen, like, subscribe, and share our podcast on all of your social media platforms. And make sure you guys go and check us out on our new YouTube channel, the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Again, that's our new YouTube channel, the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, where you can go and find the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, as well as our sister podcast, which is the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. And on that podcast, I have discussions with other girl dads like myself, and we talk about the relationship between the dads and the daughter. Because I started that podcast in order to combat the narrative of the absent father and the fatherless daughter, and let people know that we are here. There are other girl dads like myself who is very active and present in the lives of our daughters. And so make sure you guys, again, go to the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network on YouTube in order to check out the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, as well as the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Also, make sure you guys go there to check out videos of myself. Not only am I a podcast host, but I'm also a podcast guest and a full-time speaker. And so you can go there to watch some of my episodes that I've done as a guest on other podcasts, as well as episodes or speaking engagements that I've had and recorded that you can go there and watch. All right, cool. So our product of the week, as you guys know, we are a self-sustaining podcast, and the way that we stay on the air is by bringing you amazing products that you can purchase in order to help us to pay our bills. So our product of the week this week is our Purpose Journal, as well as our Purpose Planner, because I believe we ought to journal in order to keep track of where we've been in our lives and where we are presently, and also plan for our future. So make sure you guys go to Amazon and check out our Purpose Journal and our Purpose Planner. The links are in the description. Also, make sure you check out all the links that we have in the description and all the information, because we have a lot of great information in the description of our videos, including the information about our guests. So today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest, Mr. Doctor, or should I say Dr. Shepherd. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, and thanks for having me. We can keep this completely informal. That's not a problem. Uh, but I appreciate you having us on. I'm looking forward to a really great discussion, and I love the idea of the journal and the planner idea. I think this is fantastic because I found that if we want to really accomplish anything, we have to know where we are and we have to know where we're going. So, great product.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it, and I definitely appreciate you being here because you could have been doing anything else with anyone else, but you're here with me and my listeners, and I definitely appreciate it. One of the things that I know because our conversation before we started recording is that you are a girl dad also, like myself, and so
Yeah.
I always start with two questions that I ask every girl dad. So I'll ask you the same. What does it mean for you? To be a girl dad, and what is something that your daughter has taught you?
Well, what it means to me is, to really be a girl dad, it's really pretty easy. All you have to do is show up and be there. And, in my experience is, she'll come to me with whatever it is that she needs. So I just have to be there and show up and provide that. So for me, it was really easy, growing up. But one thing that she taught me is that it's okay to be emotional.
Mhm.
And I grew up in a culture where big boys don't cry, right? Men don't have we have this shell and we don't show our emotions. But she taught me that it's okay to have feelings. We're humans,
Yeah.
and I was never I never felt like with her I ever had to put up that wall or that shell, and I was able to just be me and share my emotions no matter what it was, angry, happy, confused,
Right.
whatever. It's okay.
Yeah. And daughters have a way of bringing your emotions out of you, whether you want them to come out or not. So, so it's like once they're born, it's a losing battle. It's like you might as well let it go because it's because they're going to get it after you out of you. So Bradley, do me a favor, introduce yourself to my audience and tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay. Well, I am, you said doctor. I'm a doctor of chiropractic. So I'm a chiropractor, but I'm also a certified functional medicine practitioner. Okay. So, as for the first, you know, 14 years of my career, so I was just a chiropractor, and we were able to help people, with their musculoskeletal problems. We did pretty good work. People come in with their low back pain, and we do some adjustments and treatments, and we send them out the door. But there's always that population that doesn't get better.
Mhm.
And I felt like, I don't know what to do with these. I want to help everybody, and I don't know,
Right.
it's not possible, but I can sure help more than 80%, I think. So
Yeah.
what is it that I'm missing? And that's when I discovered functional medicine. And so I wanted to get certifications in that, because what I learned was it's not, even musculoskeletal conditions has an additional component, for example, hormones. Okay. So
Mhm.
once I started exploring the relationship between hormones and the other conditions that I was seeing in my office, like low back pain, shoulder, frozen shoulder, headaches, those sorts of things, that just completely opened up my world. And I'm like, oh, there's so much more out here to learn, and so much more I can do to help my clients.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about functional medicine is now I'm not just limited to a brick and mortar building where people have to come in. It's more than hands on. I can actually, do things from a distance, which is really neat. So I can actually reach more people and help more people, which is
Good.
great for me because, I get to, stay home on my laptop and, work instead of, being a chiropractor is kind of physical. And so
Mhm.
it's nice to kind of have a little bit of a rest too. So I can't say that
Yes.
it's completely altruistic.
Right. And yeah, that's one good thing that came out of the pandemic, which is really opening up the space to do virtual learning, virtual working, all of that. So that's one thing we can be grateful for that came out of the pandemic. But let's go back a little bit. I'm gonna call you Dr. Shepherd because I just like the sound of it. So let's go back a little bit, Dr. Shepherd, because I believe that everyone who has a heart to help people. It came from somewhere, you know. I guess we can't say we were born with it, but it's also some experiences that we usually have in our lives that says, okay, I want to make a difference, And so, even with you, even to going into chiropractic work and the things that you do, let's kind of take us back to, who you were as a young man and even maybe some of your upbringing. And what was that thing that even gave you the option to say, okay, I think this is the direction I want to go to help people in this way?
Well, believe it or not, I wanted to be a math teacher. And I loved the whole idea of teaching and everything like that. But by the time I got into the courses for teaching, it's just like, okay, well, I can't teach the way I want it, that I think that we should be able to teach.
Mm-hmm.
So what else can I do? And so I was kind of exploring other options, and I had remembered that, hey, when I was a couple years ago, I was working at Kmart. That tells you how old I am, right? I was working at Kmart and as a cashier and customer service, and I'm like, my back starts to hurt, my low back. So that was my first time ever having any sort of low back pain. And my cousin, luckily enough, says, here, try this chiropractor. So I whatever. I went, and after one treatment, I felt so good. And my back pain was gone. Now that's not the typical experience. I don't know if you've ever,
Right.
It's usually takes more than that. But for me, that one experience was enough that made enough impact. It's like, hey, I don't have to suffer with pain if I don't want to. And so, it seemed so simple what he did. There's a lot more to it, of course, that I learned in school, but it seemed simple enough that, hey, you know what, I can do this and help people. And I liked the idea of having a natural approach to pain medication, because to pain, because what I noticed was, you go to your doctor, you tell them your symptoms, you get a pill or a medication or something, and that's it. So I thought, they never ask why you're having the pain in the first place in order to prevent it. And I was always about prevention and, why.
Right.
I had that curious mind, and the why. Why do I have low back pain? Why, and this kind of that's why I didn't want to be a medical doctor, really, is because I had explored that, that'd be cool to be a doctor, right? But the chiropractic, seemed more natural and hopefully accomplishing the same thing. And that is to, keep people healthy.
Yeah, I like it. So I was talking to you briefly before we started recording, and one of the reasons why I was really looking forward to this conversation, because I have a friend of mine who, since I've known her, which has probably been about 3 or 4 years now, since we became friends, she's always have dealt with like back problems and like shoulder problems, right? And so she would constantly, she would be going to a chiropractor, every so often and getting massages and things of that nature. But I just wondered if it could be more than just, sore back, or you know what I mean, and something like that. And so I was really looking forward to this conversation, because one of the things that you talk about is hormones, and how that they may be related to whatever that pain is that person may be dealing with. So could you walk us through that conversation a little bit?
Yeah, so there are typically 7 different hormones that I look at. Now, there's over 50 different hormones in the body that regulate everything.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 7 of them that I look at that are really closely linked to pain. It can either cause pain, amplify pain, or perpetuate pain. And so when we look at those hormones, we can identify those imbalances, and we can do that just with a simple blood work, right? And once we identify those hormone imbalances, then we know how to balance them. And there's a couple of different ways to balance them. One is, to do the hormone replacements, and the other one is to actually provide nutrients to your body so that your body can bring those back to balance by itself. I'm not going to tell you which one's better, because everyone's going to be different. Some people might just want to do the hormone replacement therapy. That takes care of their pain and they're happy. That's fine. But for those other people that want to say, okay, well, why am I having pain? Why are my hormones out of balance? Yeah. Those are the people that want to come to me.
Right. Yeah. And so yes, you did. And I'm thinking that, in some cases, the pain, might not necessarily be, just like you mentioned working at Kmart, maybe you just on your feet too long. And so, especially being a cashier and you're looking down at the register, I can think of physically why you may have had back pains, but it may have been some other things. And we're talking about, the hormones, what are some pain conditions that someone may experience that may be related to their hormones in some way?
That's a great question. The first one is low back pain. I mean, if there's a B12 deficiency or an estrogen deficiency. Estrogen deficiency is shown in some studies that actually can exacerbate or make worse disc degeneration. Who knew that, right? So thyroid hormones, when you have decreased thyroid hormones, that can actually amplify pain in a lot of different areas, including the low back. But also, there's for an example of thyroid hormone, there's a condition called frozen shoulder, which can be muscular, a musculoskeletal condition, but it can also be a complication of thyroid. If you have thyroid problems, you have a 30% chance of developing frozen shoulder just because you have a thyroid problem. And we don't always link the frozen shoulder with the hormones. Same thing with diabetes. Diabetes is an independent risk factor for frozen shoulder as well. And diabetes, that's an imbalance in the insulin hormones and the blood sugar. Okay. So another example would be testosterone. Low testosterone can cause or amplify the pain with folks that suffer from fibromyalgia. And this is not something that we always think about. So hormone imbalances can really, really affect a lot of things. Migraine headaches, by the way, especially if you have the cyclical migraines, the migraines once a month. That's going to be hormone related. Okay. Right. So even neck pain can be related to thyroid. Arthritis. There's a couple of different types of arthritis, but we think of osteoarthritis as the wear and tear, but we know that it can be a deficiency of vitamin D, but we also know that it can be an estrogen imbalance. So even arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis is a different type of arthritis, but it's also associated with the thyroid hormone, and it's associated with it's an autoimmune disease. So anything that could be contributing to an autoimmune disease, I'm going to bet you if you have an autoimmune disease, you're going to have hormone imbalances too. I'll put my money on it, So there's a lot of things that can be caused, amplified, or perpetuated by hormone imbalances.
Yeah. And I want to go back to two questions that I have. First of all, you mentioned frozen shoulder. What exactly is that? Because that sounds like painful on one hand.
Oh yeah, it's painful, but it's also restrictive. So there's three different phases of frozen shoulder. One, there's the painful phase where it just starts to hurt, and there's not necessarily a reason why if we're not checking the hormones, right? So why is it, and then there's that restrictive face where, okay, I just can't move. I've got penguin arms. I call it penguin arms. You can't comb your hair with frozen shoulder, right? You can't, I mean, there's a lot of things you can't do. It's hard to reach back into your back pocket to get your wallet with frozen shoulder. And so that painful condition will, and then that's the second phase. And then the third phase is kind of like the resolution phase. And this can last a year and a half. And then sometimes it can spontaneously resolve. It's a strange condition. It really is weird. But there's that hormone link. And it could also just be caused by like a rotator cuff injury that never gets taken care
of. Okay. So my other question is, so I'm not a doctor, so so there are things that I hear and I just want to understand it. And so you mentioned thyroids, right? And so if I'm not mistaken, there's thyroids and there's fibroids. I guess with an F, two different things, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy. So now that I know that they are two different things, what is each of them? Because I have no idea.
So the thyroid is a gland. So glands make hormones and release them out into the bloodstream. And the thyroid gland is a little gland that sits here in your neck, and it produces thyroid hormone in the form of T4. And you need certain nutrients, since we're talking about it, you need certain nutrients in order to make thyroid hormone. For example, you need iodine, you need selenium, you need vitamin D, you need tyrosine in order to make thyroid hormone. But you also need some other nutrients to convert the inactive form that your thyroid makes to the active form that your body can actually use. And that takes other nutrients. So that's what the thyroid is. Now, a fibroid is like a little fibrous growth, and those can occur, anywhere. But the most common thing that you're probably going to hear is what are called uterine fibroids, which grow in the uterus. And that could be also, you kind of mentioned that's definitely a hormone imbalance issue as well.
Okay. Yeah, because I have been hearing those two terms, and I kind of knew that the thyroid one, and I was wondering if I was wrong, because before I knew that it was two different things, it kept sounding like the same thing, and I'm like, no, but one person said, is like lower pain, and the other person is up here, and I'm like, so it can't be the same thing,
Yeah.
So I was going to ask that. So thank you for sharing that with me. And so you mentioned about different nutrients that is needed in order to kind of correct the hormone imbalances. Are there nutrients that we can get from like different foods that we can eat that could kind of help that, or is it all medication wise? And I know you mentioned that you're not a big fan of necessarily of just popping a pill for everything. So are there some natural remedies or foods and things like that we may be able to consume to help us to be able to balance our hormones?
Yeah, and I love that question because that's the first place where we should be getting our nutrients is from the food that we eat. The downside with that is a lot of our food now is grown in soil that's depleted from its nutrients. So where are they getting its nutrients? Okay, so a lot of times that does necessitate that we do have to supplement. We have to take extra vitamins. But my question is where should we get those vitamins? You can go down to Walmart and get a multivitamin. Those are made in a lab, which is fine. We're still getting the vitamins and the minerals. But why not get it from nature again? Why not get those supplements from food as well? And so there are companies out there that make supplements from food, which to me makes a lot more sense because you're getting a lot of the other, factors, cofactors, phytonutrients that we don't even know what they do. But we just know that that's how our bodies use the food. And extract the nutrients with, because food has enzymes in it that help, improve the chemical processes of digestion and utilization and metabolism. So I think that if we're going to get a supplement, it should also be a whole food supplement.
Right.
So that was a great insight on your part. Yeah, we should get it from food, definitely.
Yeah, because I'm a person that I pretty much don't take medicine for anything, because I had one time I went to the doctor and he prescribed me some medicine. I said, okay, I'll try it, and it didn't necessarily do what it was supposed to do. And so when I went back to him, he was just like, all right, well, take these two. I'm like, well, if the first one didn't work, why would I take two more? I'm like, you know what? I'm done with that. You know what I mean? And so I always try to find natural remedies to do things because, for whatever reason, I've definitely know that there's sometimes some kickbacks and things like that with doctors and medicines, and you keep subscribing them and they keep getting bonuses or whatever. So I not knocking doctors or whoever, but I just know that sometimes there's incentives of why they prescribe you different things, especially after that those things don't work. So I'm always looking into natural remedies, and I think natural is probably should be our first defense. It's like what are the things we should be doing, naturally? What are the things that we can do, walking or running, or some things that could be, even breath work, just things that we could just naturally do that really will make a difference in our bodies that we don't necessarily need medicine for. But I think we as a society somewhat too have just became lazy, and it was just like, hey, if I could just pop a pill and fit and do it, I'll do it that way. And so, when we look at our obesity, in our country, and the overweight that we have, and a lot of people don't want to, go out and do the exercise. Like, all right, I'll get a surgery, I'll pop some pills, or do some Ozempic or whatever the things are nowadays, and it's just like everybody wants to take the easy way out, but I don't think that's the right way. I think everything that we can do naturally, that our bodies naturally should be doing, if we get back to those things, it'll fix a lot of stuff that we're dealing with.
I think, well, yeah, because a lot of these, problems, the health problems that we're seeing are a lot of times lifestyle issues. Like the diabetes, that's correctable, up to a certain point.
Yeah.
Heart risk and, risks can be decreased by our lifestyle. And so, yeah, I love the natural approach. And I want to say that there's definitely a place for medicine. If you break your arm, you don't want to go to a natural healer, right? You want to go to a doctor that'll set the arm, cast it, right?
Right.
So there's definitely a place for it. The medical profession really excels in emergency medicine and acute care. I think the problem comes is when we try to apply the acute care model to these chronic conditions.
Mm-hmm.
They're different and they should be treated differently. So that's my piece.
Yeah. So before we get out of here, I want to leave our audience with just some helpful tips or things of that nature. And I know, as a chiropractic doctor, there's many things that can be going on in our bodies and while we're dealing with different things. But if you could give us a couple tips, in just for maybe some general things that you see come in, like we talked about the lower back, just some general tips or of things that we can do, even if we just talk about the shoulders and the back, things that we can do to kind of we talk about those risks, things that we can change so that we don't have to come. Not that we don't want to support you, of course, but we don't want to have to come. You know what I mean? So if we can, give us some tips to kind of help us to keep us from having that back pain to start with.
Well, I love that approach, by the way, and I'll tell you, if you're not if you're going to a chiropractor that's not giving you something that you can do at home to help, find another one. I don't like to say that about all of the chiropractors, but if they're not giving you some sort of exercises,
Mm-hmm.
and you know they're kind of giving you they're doing a disservice to you because they're not giving you any tools to help yourself. My goal is always to, you know, get the patients in my office and and do as few treatments as possible and let them get out on their own. And that's my approach. So one of the things that's really huge for low back pain, for muscle aches, for joint problems is water. Drink water. That's not something that we always think about, but it's so important to keep everything hydrated. Okay. That is how we do everything. Everything that we do requires water. Breathing requires water. So that's the number one thing, is stay hydrated. Make sure that you're drinking enough. The best way now, and I've heard like, okay, how much water should I drink? Well, that depends on everybody. I wish I could say 8 glasses for everybody. I can't. But the best way to find out if you're dehydrated enough is to look at your pee. We all do it. You know, there's no sense in denying that we don't always do it. It's kind of embarrassing sometimes. But if it's a dark yellow, you need to drink more water. If it's really clear, you're probably drinking too much. It should be straw colored, which is just that really nice little light yellow, like the color of straw, if you know what the color of straw is. Just a little hint of yellow. Shouldn't be clear, shouldn't be dark. That's the easiest way to tell. The second thing, get rid of sugar if you can. All refined sugar, because that's going to cause inflammation. Inflammation in your joints is going to hurt. Inflammation in your liver is going to cause liver problems. There's more and more liver problems right now, and there's actually a new term for it, relatively new. It's called non-alcoholic liver disease. It used to be that liver disease was caused by alcohol, but we're finding that it's caused by sugar too, and just poor diet, eating a lot of refined foods. So that would be the second thing. Eliminate sugar, especially the sugary drinks like your Cokes, your Pepsis, you know, your Mountain Dews, all of that. And especially diet sodas. Diet sodas they actually have I call it fake chemical sugar. It's artificial sugar. It's not even real sugar. Our bodies don't know how to process it. And so that's actually even worse. And there are actually studies that show that people that are trying to lose weight and they drink diet soda actually gain weight. So diet soda causes you to gain weight. So cut out the diet sodas. Even, I hate to say this, but even the fruit juices that you can buy, the apple juice, you know, orange juice that you buy at the store, it's lots and lots of sugar. Now, instead of drinking a glass of orange juice, eat an orange. Nature is really smart that way because it provides you with the juice. It's yummy, it's delicious, but it also gives you the fiber, which helps prevent those spikes in blood sugar. And that's where, you know, we get the insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, diabetes. So eliminate the sugary drinks and get more get more fiber in your diet. Eat the apple, eat the orange, and you'll, you know, fruit is nature's candy. So eat the fruit instead of the sugary stuff. Those are kind of some of my tips. And you said earlier before, you know, exercise. Yeah, do the exercise. A good walk every day will do wonders for your low back pain. Even those windmill exercises with your shoulder, those are great. You know, if I don't know if you'll be able to see me, but practice touching your hands together from behind like that, from your shoulder.
I don't even know if I can do that.
You might not be able to, but do the best that you can and do it for 3 weeks, and you'll notice that it's easier to do. Your shoulder pain will diminish if you have the shoulder pain. So movement, you know, like we say in chiropractic, motion is lotion. So, you know, yeah, get out, go for your walk, move around, and be active. And that, you know, I know we're not talking about this, but there are studies that show that exercise has so many health benefits, including it fights depression, it decreases your risk for heart disease and stroke and heart attack, and it's just, and there's no side effects to walking, you know, or exercising, as long as you're doing it within your limits, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But staying active is the probably the number 3 thing that you can do. So kind of like what they've been talking about, diet, exercise, and no sugar. I mean, we hear it all the time. Why don't we do it? I don't know.
Right. Well, I have been lately definitely started drinking more water because I was getting dehydrated at work. So I'm a bricklayer by trade. And it was just some days that, you know, I'll be working and start cramping up and things of that nature. And it was like, all right, you're you know, dehydrated. But it would be days like even when I wasn't at work and just doing simple things and I started to cramp up. And I'm like, okay, I'm definitely just not, you know, drinking enough water or whatever. So I started drinking more water. I walk every day anyway because I love walking. Just recently got into hiking, which I'm loving that now too. Looking forward to really getting more into that and going to different exotic places with it. But also you hit on one of my things, man, that I had to kind of get up myself this week, which is the soft drinks. You know, I know I'm not supposed to have no Pepsi, but they were free. They were at work. I don't know. You know, we did it. We did a good job, and so they bought us lunch, and they bought pizza and Pepsi, and I was like, oh no, you know.
Right. You know, and I'm not gonna say don't ever drink them. You know, I life is to be enjoyed. You know, but moderation.
Right.
You know, if you have a Pepsi once a month, sure, enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's my thing. Why I choose to try not to have it because if I start, I can't stop. So I had stopped, right? I had stopped drinking them because I was drinking them a lot, and that's when I started having, you know, my sugar was going up, you know, and I'm like, all right, I got to stop drinking it. And just like last week, and it was like, oh, I haven't had none in, you know, a couple of weeks, and so I went to White Castle, and I was like, all right, just give me a Pepsi, you know, and then I promise you, I had that one, and within that week, I probably had 4. You know what I mean? And so it was like, okay, stop. I just gotta stop. I just can't, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, all right, forget it. I just leave it alone. But Dr. Shepherd, I want to say again, thank you so much for being on. Thank you for sharing you know your gifts and your expertise with us. I want you to have the last word, right? And I want you to leave us definitely share your information, your website, your social media pages, and things of that nature, and where they can find you in order to support you in the work that you do. But also leave us with a word of advice or inspiration, or however you feel. You know, so I'll give you a couple seconds to think about that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Make sure you guys are checking me out at my website, which is my main website, which is dealhealfulfill.org. Again, that's dealhealfulfill.org, because as you know, our mission is to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. And so when you go there, you can find out more information about the things that I have going on, the podcast, and even to be able to book me to come out to be a speaker at your school or organization. So again, go to the website at dealhealfulfill.org in order to find more information about me and what I have going on. Also, go to ebooksbyejames.com to see some of the ebooks that I have written. So we talked about the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, and one of the ebooks that I wrote is called The Core Four, which is the 4 core values that every daughter should get from her father. And so you guys can get your copy of the Core 4 at ebooksbyejames.com. And you also want to check out the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, because when I have the dads on, and the girls and the daughters, we actually talk about the Core 4 and those 4 values, and which ones that they feel are most important to them, as fathers and as daughters. So make sure you guys get your copy at the ebooksbyejames.com. There's also other ebooks that I have that's there, including From Males to Men, and a ebook that I'm very proud of called Forgiving Me, the 4 Steps to Self-Forgiveness. So again, you guys can find those ebooks at ebooksbyejames.com. So make sure you guys go check that out. Also, make sure you guys check out our inspirational t-shirt line at deal2healtees.com. That's deal, number 2, healtees.com. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That is our tagline. Not only can you find our inspirational t-shirts there, but you can also find our podcast t-shirts there as well, which is our Girl Dad Discussions logo, as well as our Deal to Heal with E. James logo on our t-shirts to support our podcast. You can go there again. That's deal, the number 2, healtees.com, in order to check out our inspirational t-shirt line. And last but not least, over the last couple of years, I've been able to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops every other month talking about forgiveness and everything surrounding forgiveness. Forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, what it means to forgive, who forgiveness is for, is definitely an important conversation that I believe that we all need to have. So make sure you guys go to forgivenessmission.com in order to sign up for our next free virtual workshop, or you can go to Eventbrite and look up Forgiveness Workshop held by the Forgiveness Mission. And again, that's absolutely free, but the information is priceless. So guys want to make sure that you go to forgivenessmission.com in order to sign up for our next virtual workshop. So whenever you're listening to this podcast episode, either one just passed or there's one coming up. So you can go to forgivenessmission.com in order to sign up for our next free virtual workshop. So Dr. Shepherd, once again, I want to say thank you so very much for being on. Thank you for being a guest. I definitely enjoyed and appreciate the conversation. I want you to have the last word, so the floor is yours.
Well, thank you again for having me on. It has been a great conversation, and you can find me on Facebook, Bradley Shepherd. You can. I have a Facebook group called Natural Pain Relief Solution. And you can find our natural pain relief community at Dr. D.R.B. Shepherd, SHEPHERD.com. And thank you again so much for having me. Again, I just want to reiterate, drink lots of water, eat good foods, and get good exercise. And again, thank you so much for having me on. This has been really fantastic.
No problem. We can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Until next time, you guys be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Tees. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. Let's go to deal2healtees.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.